News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
News Talk KGVO, AM 1290 and now 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Accused child kidnapper appears in court. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. Here it is Tuesday, June 24th, 2014. A few clouds out there, but mostly sunny. We have 59 degrees. Very pleasant morning in western Montana. Our newscast sponsored by Missoula Nissan Hyundai, where we know cars. They're located near Southgate Mall. 34-year-old Cody James Lowe appeared in Missoula Justice Court yesterday on a charge of attempted kidnapping after being arrested at Northside Lions Park Saturday. According to court documents, the 10-year-old female victim told authorities that Lowe picked her up by her leg and attempted to carry her off. She screamed and kicked at the suspect before he dropped her and attempted to run away. The girl's father then physically restrained Lowe until law enforcement officers arrived. Deputy Missoula County Attorney Jessica Findlay advised Justice of the Peace Amy Blixt about Lowe's criminal history.
He was convicted of sexual assault in April for reaching up a nurse's skirt. This past weekend, the same weekend as this incident, it was reported that he took his pants off and was exposing himself to a mission group who helps the homeless.
Findlay says Lowe's behavior has been escalating into more serious offenses.
It looks like the offenses have graduated from indecent exposure to sexual assault on an adult, now to the attempted abduction of a 10-year-old girl. For that reason, the defendant presents a serious risk to the community, so the state's requesting that bail be set in the amount of $100,000.
Judge Blixt agreed, remanded Lowe back to the jail on a $100,000 bond. His next court appearance is July 7th. Authorities say a 4-year-old boy and 3-year-old twins were among the 5 people who were killed last week when their truck collided with a fire engine outside of Helena. Jefferson County Under Sheriff Mike Johnson said yesterday the children were 4-year-old Brighton Paul Bogley and 3-year-old twins Peyton Charles Bogley and Madison Moni Bogley. Johnson identified the adults as 29-year-old Matthew Carl Bogle, and 30-year-old Crystal Marie Ross. The family lived in Townsend. Johnson says it could take weeks to receive results of autopsies and determine a cause of death. The family was driving in a pickup truck west on U.S. Highway 12 Thursday when the truck collided with a fire engine driven by Three Forks Fire Chief Todd Rummel. Rummel also died in the fiery crash. Missoula police are trying to locate a homeless man suspected of breaking into a downtown pawn shop and taking multiple guns last week. Here's Public Information Officer Travis Welsh.
Missoula Police Department is currently looking for a wanted person by the name of Adam Page. He is 37 years old and believed to be homeless, possibly camping in the Rattlesnake area. In that burglary, guns were stolen of all kinds, and it is believed at this point that he retains possession of some of those weapons.
Although police have recovered some of the weapons, many are still missing. Page is considered armed and dangerous.
He is a white male. He is said to have blonde hair and blue eyes. He's estimated to be about 5 feet 11 inches tall, 235 pounds, and has tattoos. The only photograph we have is a few years old, so his appearance could certainly have been altered to some degree by now.
That photograph is available on our website at newstalkkgvo.com. We urge you to look at it. Anybody with information about the case, ask to call Crime Stoppers. Do not approach him. Call 721-4444. An administrator at Montana State University Northern testified that the school's former provost touched him inappropriately over a 3-year period and that the university retaliated against him after he filed a discrimination complaint. A hearing officer with the Montana Human Rights Bureau heard testimony last week in Havre from MSU Northern Dean Randy Bachmeyer in his complaint against former provost Rosalind Templeton. Some school administrators backed up Bachmeyer's claims, while others said Templeton's behavior was not sexual in nature. Chancellor James Limbaugh said he's received numerous complaints about Templeton's management, but was unaware of Bachmeyer's issues with Templeton until he filed a sexual harassment complaint. An attorney for the Montana Senate Majority Leader is asking a state judge to dismiss allegations that he failed to report illegal campaign contributions and coordinated his campaign with a conservative group. Attorney Kerry Wassenberger says Commissioner of Political Practices Jonathan Modell did not follow proper procedure in his complaint against Senator Art Whittick of Bozeman. Wassenberger said Monday Modell's complaint should have been filed in Gallatin County where the alleged violations occurred. Modell responded, Wittick's improper campaign finance reports were filed in Lewis and Clark County, where Motul filed his civil action. If District Judge Jeffrey Sherlock upholds Motul's findings that Wittick illegally coordinated with Western Tradition Partnership, the Republican could be removed from office and struck from the 2014 ballot. Montana Governor Steve Bullock announced yesterday he'd be taking industry leaders on a trip to China. Here's Governor's office spokesman Dave Parker.
In September, the 21st through the 29th, Governor Bullock is bringing leaders in business, education, and government to China to focus on creating export opportunities for Montana businesses, as well as deepening the long-term relationship between Montana's economy and China's economy.
The trip's partially due to the relocation of another prominent Montana politician whom you might remember.
Longtime U.S. Senator Max Baucus is now the ambassador to China. When we discussed this opportunity with him, he was excited to help us and make sure that we connect with the right people in China to help increase our exports to China. China is our third largest trading partner, but it also represents a huge area for growth.
Last year, Montana sold $101 million worth of commodities to China, more than all other countries except for Canada and South Korea. In accordance with the decisions reached in Friday's Board of Ravalli County Commissioners meeting, County Attorney Bill Fulbright's office filed a civil complaint against Valerie Stamey yesterday. Fulbright explains the main points of the complaint.
We filed a lawsuit that has both a complaint for the $29,000 for failure to make reports, as well as asking for declaratory judgment that Ms. Stamey committed official misconduct, connected with asking for the damages caused by that, the extra fees we've incurred.
In addition, Fulbright says due to an apparent mistake in the public posting of the board's schedule, the board meeting to consider suspension of Stamey has been postponed by a day.
There was an error discovered this morning in the public notice or the public posting of the board's schedule, and so rather than monkey around with that 48 hours notice, we've had the commissioners immediately re-notice it for Wednesday rather than Tuesday.
The county conducted two separate investigations, one by former District Judge Nell Swandall and a financial audit performed by Anderson Zumulin of Helena. And a whitefish man is drowned while fishing along the Missouri River. The Cascade County Sheriff's Office says two fishermen discovered the body of 41-year-old Cleve Malmstrom south of Cascade Friday. Authorities believe he slipped and fell into the river. He was wearing waders but not a life jacket. Our News Talk time now is 6:10.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Look for a mix of sun and clouds today with afternoon showers and thunderstorms developing. Some storms will produce gusty winds and heavy rainfall. Temperatures will top out right around 80. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for KECI 13, your first alert station.
Thank you, Brooke. It is a lovely morning in western Montana right now. We just got a few clouds moving in, and we've got 59 degrees in Missoula. Now, again, I hope you were listening to her forecast because there could be some boomers on the way this afternoon, might be accompanied by strong winds and hail, so let's be ready for anything, all right?
Information never stops. The news you need right now. More Montana news headlines. News Talk, KGVO. Depend on it.
These headlines are brought to you by Bitterroot Motors, where you'll find America's favorite sports car, the Mustang. Rebates up to $3,000 right now. The question as to whether Montanans believe President Obama should send American troops back to Iraq to help settle their civil war was addressed by Congressman Steve Daines last night, who says the administration should consider the long history of hatred between the factions inside Iraq.
As many of you know, the history here goes back thousands of years, and the U.S. is not going to solve a conflict and tension between the Sunnis, the Shias, and the Kurds.
Daines says the majority of people contacting his office are opposed to more American involvement.
You've been very clear with our office that Montanans don't believe that the president should act unilaterally on this issue. The vast majority of what I've heard has been in opposition to putting American troops on the ground in Iraq.
Daines conducted a statewide call-in program last night for the purpose of listening to Montanans' concerns over fighting in the Middle East. The federal government says the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers should not be blamed for causing major flooding along the Missouri River. The government filed its initial response last week to a lawsuit that more than 200 landowners filed in March. The federal lawsuit claimed landowners should be compensated for the extensive damage they experienced, particularly during the extended 2011 flooding that devastated hundreds of thousands of acres, mostly farmland, in South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, and Missouri. A Billings garage fire that caused $25,000 in damage was intentionally set. Assistant Billings Fire Marshal Bill Tatum said firefighters responded early Monday morning. The owner of the garage's contents, one of the first people who called 911. Tatum said the man was able to get his car out of the garage, but none of his other property, including 2 personal watercraft. Montana Trout Unlimited will be hosting the Missoula On Tap presentation this evening at their office in the Florence Building downtown. Development Director Kelly Willett describes the group's mission here in Montana.
Our mission is to conserve, protect, and restore Montana's world-class cold water fisheries and their watersheds. We're made up of nearly 3,900 members across Montana, and we have 13 volunteer chapters and really hundreds of folks who spend lots of hours to that end.
Willett said the statewide group has marshaled its forces in one specific area when it comes to Montana's at-risk waterways.
There's a mine proposed in the headwaters of the Smith River, and we think that's an epic, iconic place where people come from all over Montana and beyond to fish. So we'd like to work to prevent a mine that will pollute the Smith River.
The Missoula On Tap event will be from 5 until 7 this evening in the Florence